date is May 19th, 2016. The time is 6:35 p.m. Surrette,
Present.
Bob Collins,
Here.
Gary Ciccarone, Jim Freeman, Ed Comeau,
Present.
David Champy II, Rich Thatcher,
Here.
and Smith.
Here.
Two good members that are absent, we have a full quorum, Mr. Chairman.
You said we're planning on today, then?
Yes.
Public comments? Announcements. Town and City is here. Anybody interested in seeing the magazine will be in the room. Review last month's minutes, Thursday, April 21st, 2016. Please, look at these minutes.
What? Not necessarily.
Make a motion. Accept the Thursday, April 21st, 2016 minutes as written.
Second.
Discussion, has everyone been reading? Dianne?
I just ask that there be some clarification on page 3 of 6, item 11, member comments. The first sentence under A, while in attendance at several, if you could insert SRPC meetings. And then later on in the sentence where it governs what money, it should be projects can be funded by the state.
So delete money and
Replace it with projects.
thank you.
All in favor of accepting the minutes as amended?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Abstain.
Abstained? That's accepted. New business. We have a lot line adjustment application. Couple need to review and see if it's okay to go to a public hearing. I have some maps of it's being adjusted if anybody would like to look at one.
Mr. Chairman, I also have maps that were made from when Rob's property was
The
set
original?
by-
Yeah.
Yes, so because our maps are out of date, so if you need to distribute those also.
And I'll recuse myself because I'm appointed to this.
Do I recuse? Diane?
Mr. Chairman, could you clarify what stage of the process we're at? Is this, do we have an application that we're, well, what stage of the process are we at with this?
We have an application for a subdivision, not a subdivision, a lot line adjustment involving 6 lots, up on top of down there, and along the way.
So tonight we are going to review the application to see if it's complete. Is that where we're at?
I believe so.
George is trying to hand you something. I'm sure
Yeah.
George knows what we're doing. What we're supposed to do.
Yes.
How's it going?
Good. How's everything going here?
Quiet. I thought it was about to get rowdy.
No, yes. We got next week. Want me to hang around for it? Sorry to interrupt.
So we have to accept the application at a public hearing.
Next page, Mr. Chairman.
so if I'm reading this right, we accept the application at the public hearing.
That's what I understand.
So we can review tonight the,
I would say this would be a pre-review. That's what I'm looking at. From what I'm seeing there, we can make a judgment as to whether or not the application is complete. You must have had a public hearing.
okay.
Okay, and then these are the
I could be
adjustments.
wrong.
So you were looking at 676:4, is that what
Yes.
that is quoting from? We don't want to slow you down, but we want to make sure it gets done right so nobody can sue and, you know, slow it down that much more, right? So just make sure we don't do this often enough that we know exactly what we're doing all the time.
We may sue, but we'll look at the outcome first.
Well, I looked at this earlier, and it looks to be in order, but tonight, the board, we can look at this, lot line adjustment, and then if we have questions, we can get them answered tonight, and just get the idea of the overall plan. Then we can schedule the public meeting at the earliest possible convenience. And that doesn't necessarily have to be the next planning board meeting in the essence of time. We can schedule it at the next date available. It might be here or over at the other townhouse, depending on what's going on. And at that point, we could review the application at the public hearing
Sure.
and go from there.
We would be responsible for this to be, honestly, I'd like to start trying to build that.
Yep.
So, in our house is for sale, so, but I haven't sold yet, so I don't want to be living in the barn while we're in transition. So the sooner the better, but at the same time, I understand the process.
Okay. Do you want to give a picture, an overview of what's going on?
My name is Brian Berlin with Land Tech. I'm a land surveyor and hired by David Gangaro to do several lot line adjustments. And I guess I'd like to go on the record to say that even though the application has to be accepted as complete at a properly known as public hearing, that doesn't mean you have to wait another hearing to discuss the merits of the application and approve or deny it. That can be done immediately thereafter,
Right.
accepted as complete. Anywho, we're talking about the majority of tax map 28, which is shown here in its existing form at the top. There's 7 lots involved. There's lot 2, which is owned by Zip Tie LLC. There's lot 3 and a 2A comprising of these 2 properties. And they're kind of informally combined, but they still show up as 2 lots on the tax map. That's also a Zip Tie property. There's lot 4 here, which is owned by Michael and Marcy Gattadaro in a trust form. There's lot 5, which is owned by Richard and Rose Zacher, also in a trust form. Lot 17, which is Zip Tie, and lot 18, which is Zip Tie. Note that this was a new lot line created very recently at a recent lot line adjustment you had done with Fish and Game, where this was put into a conservation type land and 17 ended up being the remaining result, of which Zip Tie has purchased. So we have lots of non-conforming lots. Lot 2 is non-conforming because it doesn't have road frontage. Ditto for lot 3, plus it's too small. Ditto for lot 4, and well, the Zacher property has enough land area. It too has no road frontage, so it's a non-conforming lot. 17 is conforming and 18 is conforming. The proposal is to consolidate and combine these 7 lots into 5. Lot 2 will be expanded from this small blue lot all the way to Tumble Down Dick Road, where we'll have enough frontage to be conforming. It will end up being a 11 acre lot. Lot 3 will comprise both 3 and 2A. 2A will disappear. 3 will turn into this tiny red lot into this largest lot. and that will have an acreage of 21 acres. It also becomes conforming because it will now have frontage on Tumbledown Dick Road and necessary water frontage. Lot 4 will get a little bit bigger. It will sell a little bit of water frontage to Lot 3, and in return receive some land from the Zacher Trust in the back, and it will climb to 1.4 acres. So it still won't be conforming, but it'll be more conforming than it is today. Lot 5 is really the only lot that's getting smaller other than 17, but it still will contain 6.7 acres when it's done. No change in its road frontage, since it doesn't have any, or its water frontage occurring there either. 3, as you can see, has taken up the majority of what was 17. 2 takes up a goodly portion of 17. And what remains of 17 is right here, which would be a 8.7 acre tract with conforming frontage on Tumbledown Dick Road and its original frontage on Kingswood Lake. So 7 lots, most of which are very non-conforming, turn into 5 lots, most of which are either conforming or greatly more conforming than they were before. And that's pretty much it in a nutshell.
They're conforming or they're not, more conforming, they're conforming or they're not.
Well, nothing becomes more non-conforming here. That's the critical threshold that we can't go under.
Okay, there's no degrees of conforming, non-conforming. Conforming or you're not. That's okay, because a lot of the lots up there are non-conforming.
Correct.
And like what you're saying, some of them are just improving. But the question I got is the land that was 17, that was picked up when Chuck divested his land. On the map, it shows 17 as a small building lot up on Tumbledown. Was that combined with the whole piece that you bought to turn the whole thing into 17 to look like it does on your diagram?
I think 17 actually had 3 building lots.
There were 2 lots here
Yeah.
that came combined to create 17 back then.
So that 17 was created as that one piece
Yes.
in that transaction.
Yes, in the previous lot line adjustment.
Okay, so this isn't up to date.
So the tax map is probably not up to date. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So for Michael Gattadaro is getting larger by adding land from Zacher,
Correct.
and it's getting more shoreline frontage than it has, or is it giving some to 2A?
It's giving some to, we call it 3 now, but it's also 2A.
Okay,
3 is actually 2A, 2B,
okay,
and 3.
Yeah.
Two. Well, lot 3, where the camp is located now,
yeah,
lot line actually is one right through the center of the camp, so the camp was built on 2 separate lots, one that belongs to the camp.
Yeah. So those are non-conforming lots now with their grandfather. So their size and their shore frontage is fine. The next lot, lot 3, that's being made with the lot line adjustments, that has lower shoreline than required, but that's also lot 2. Lot 2 shoreline is 3 now, correct? And that's grandfathered.
Lot
So
2A, lot 3, and a portion of lot 4. So we
current lot 2 and 2A,
we combine, so lot 3 had like 50 feet or something like that.
Yeah.
Lot 2A had approximately another 50 feet.
Yep.
And then we added another 35 or 40 feet from lot 4. So we increased the shore frontage to 140 feet. So it went from 50 feet where the camp is
Yep.
to 140 feet.
so a portion of 4, 3 and 2A are going to be the shoreline frontage for, on the bottom diagram, lot 3.
Correct.
And that's all shoreline that's grandfathered now.
It went from a grandfather of 113 to a new of 157.
Okay. Now, on the map, lot 2 is combining with,
Pretty much 17.
land going up in lot 18.
Lot 2 would be here originally.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Here, proposed.
So that gets a portion of 17 added on.
Yes.
And that has sufficient shoreline and road frontage.
Correct.
Yes, and there's no change to the road, for the shore frontage of Lot 2.
It's just getting bigger.
Correct, deeper.
And the remainder of lot 17 has the correct road frontage, and it has shoreline that was originally grandfathered on lot 17.
Correct.
Below the norm, but it's grandfathered 148 feet.
It is below the norm, and it is 148 feet exactly.
Yeah.
If you were to lay my old house, that tax map onto this, those lots pretty much now look the same as the next 4 lots going up the road, where at 250 feet or some set of frontage, and then 250 feet on the big road. And so my old lot is the next one after that, I guess, lot, I don't know what the number is, but it's the next lot after that one, and then the next 4 lots are all the same.
Yeah.
Matt?
Yep.
So could you just, the resulting frontage on the lake, could you just sort of, for each of those, could you?
Yes. The final frontage on 28-2, which is this blue lot, is 257 feet. 28-3 and 2A, and we're just calling it
Just
3 now,
Yeah, the new, whatever the new.
is 157. Final frontage on 4 is 369. Zachar is unchanged for frontage at 148. And 17 is original frontage of 148 also.
Okay, so if I am reading our zoning correctly, a conforming lot that has frontage on Kingswood Lake shall have not less than 250 feet of frontage. So if I heard correctly what you said, then if the only of these lots, the only one that will end up being conforming is lot 2, assuming that it's got 250 feet on the road. Could you tell me what the frontage is on the road there? Actually,
Lot 2 is 250, yes,
of frontage on
on the road.
the road. So that would be, so it sounds like that's going to be the only conforming lot that comes out of this, the only buildable lot.
No.
I would agree with conforming, but I wouldn't agree with only buildable.
So building, so I'm not trying to be contentious, just want to make sure
Understood.
that we all can agree on what the meaning of the zoning is and whether we would have the power to say, yeah, that's a building lot. So I'm reading from page 5 of 56. This is one of those sections, item number 3, building lot requirements. Subsection C. All lots shall have not less than 250 feet of frontage on a class 5 or approved private road, and a lot depth of not less than 200 feet. Lots fronting on Kingswood Lake shall have not less than 250 feet of frontage on said lake.
Right.
That would be correct, yes.
So, and this is building lot requirements. So, to be a buildable lot, it would have to meet those criteria, and then some. But I don't anticipate that anything else would be a problem here for the ones that have frontage on the road. But I think that lot 17 would not be buildable as it's being redrawn. Lot 3 would not be buildable as it's redrawn. Obviously, 4 and 5 with no road frontage are also not buildable. I think the only one that would meet our zoning requirements as buildable lots would be number 2. And I mean, I'm not sure. I mean, if somebody disagrees, I'd love to hear an argument. But
Okay, I disagree. Going by the zoning, That's correct. Lot 2 is officially by the book, a buildable lot. But Lot 3 and Lot 17, as it's drawn, has original shorefront that was grandfathered. And those lots are becoming bigger by adding portions of 17 to them.
So that argument would be that the lake frontage portion of the requirements is grandfathered.
Correct.
Because in 1960, whatever, they had too little lake frontage, and they were grandfathered in as buildable lots at that point.
Right.
They're keeping the same numbering.
Yes.
So, by that argument, could I just play devil's advocate?
Yes.
Let's say that they had redrawn them so they had no road frontage. Are you saying that those would still be buildable lots?
They are today.
But haven't we had cases where people came to get building permits, but they weren't able to get them or they had to stay within the confines of existing structures on those lots
Yes.
because they're non-conforming.
Right.
So by your argument, if there were a camp on lot 2, a camp on lot 3, let's say,
Yeah.
a shack, 200 square foot shack,
Yeah.
and they do this, now lot 3 has, I don't know, 20 acres, whatever, very large, they're still stuck with a 200 square foot footprint for building. So they can build it, but it's non-conforming because of the lake frontage. They're grandfathered, so they can build within the existing footprint.
Yeah.
So it's buildable, but it's still under the non-conforming rules. Is that what you're thinking?
Oh, I'm listening to you. Lot 2 and 2A have buildings on them already?
2 does not. 2A and 3 do.
Can you
It straddles that line.
I want to come back to this topic, but can you tell us what buildings are on these lots and where, and roughly, size of these, what the size and state of these buildings?
2A and 3 is the smallest building. It's not 200 square feet, but it's not a whole lot bigger. It's just a one-season camp. 2 is vacant. Lot 4, the Michael and Marcy property, has 2 camps on it. The Brass property has a very fine 3-bedroom or 4-bedroom home year-round. And that is that.
And,
What about 17?
No structure on 17
and 18?
or 18.
Okay. Are any of these lot lines moving closer to any of those existing structures, or are they staying the same or moving further away?
This line here at lot 4 is getting closer, but we made sure it met the zoning setback of 40 feet plus from the cabin. But that would be the only place where we're starting to close in on a structure.
Right, I think though, if our setbacks are 40 feet and you're not, I don't think anyone would complain about, well, you can't say that people will complain about it. I don't think anyone on the board would have a leg to stand on complaining about that. But if you're moving a lot line to, within 10 feet of a structure, some of that, we'd have to discuss that.
Right, but we create a no non-conformity by moving that lot line.
Okay, so getting back to the buildability of these, I know you had your hand up for a second, I'm not sure if, and I see another hand.
Keep talking.
Well, okay, so I think that I would feel more comfortable if we as a board could give the applicant a sense of how we would be interpreting this, just so they know what they're getting into. I mean, there's always the ZBA, right? So we have to interpret our zoning ways that we think it's written and the way our attorney says it's written. Doesn't mean that that's the end of the story, right? You can always get around it if you meet the criteria for, appealing to the ZBA. But, we need to try to stick to the letter of what's written. So, anyway, I'm done for the moment.
Rich, had a comment.
Well, that was my comment. It won't be a non-conforming lot per the zoning. But you go to the ZBA and see if they give you a waiver to build on. That's the process.
Yeah, not speaking as a planning board member, but just as a member of the public, I think if somebody had a 15-acre lot and they want, and that, you know, and they want to build something more than a 200 square foot camp on it, and it's got road frontage, not quite the lake frontage, I mean, maybe that's it. Seems not unreasonable, you know, for somebody to build a real house there. But that's not something the planning board necessarily can say is okay.
If it's a pre-existing lot with road frontage on a class 5 road, regardless of whether it has lake frontage or not, how can it not be a building lot if it's an existing lot?
Our zoning has
Being taxed for it, right?
Sure, our zoning, obviously, because if it's non-conforming, you presumably are getting taxed less because you have a lot more restrictions on what you can do with it. But the zoning has a section on non-conforming lots and what you can and can't do on non-conforming lots. So if as long as a lot stays non-conforming, I'm guessing that you're stuck with those restrictions. Even if you make it big and have plenty of road frontage, you may still be stuck with those restrictions. The way around that is to go to the ZBA, right? And there are set of, I think, 5 criteria. I don't remember what they are off the top of my head, but they're in the zoning that the ZBA you have to meet those 5 criteria, and then and convince the ZBA that you've met those 5 criteria for your project. Like it causes hardship and it's not going to do anything really bad, that kind of thing. Then the ZBA can give you a waiver, and basically then say, you know, approve your project that way in terms of buildings on something like that.
So because the small lots 3 and 2A are connecting to the bottom diagram of 3, it doesn't, and also lot 17, they don't have the current shore frontage, so they're non-conforming lots now. For example, up on top, lot 17 and lot 2, are those building lots right now? The grandfather was building lots?
Well, I'm sorry, I can't remember the names.
Rob Collins.
Rob, per Rob's theory, if I'm understanding you correctly, 2 would not be a building lot now because it's non-conforming.
Yeah, it would be governed under Article 4 of the non-conforming use, I think.
Right. I'm not sure I agree with you, but I understand your logic.
I'm a part-time planning board guy, not a land use lawyer, so, you know.
So I guess our argument is every single one of these lots becomes more conforming. And 2, as you correctly point out, becomes wholly conforming when it never was. Nor was 17 wholly conforming because of the shortage here at the waterfront.
But it maintains that shortage.
Yes, there's no change there.
Now, just playing what ifs. I mean, if you wanted 17 to be conforming, you could give its frontage to 2, the water frontage, right? If it had, if 17 ends up with 250 feet of road frontage,
Right.
but it's got plenty of land and meets the buildable area requirements and things like that. The only problem is that it's got 158 feet of lake frontage and it needs 250. You can get rid of that, give it to 2 or whoever the other abutter is, and it becomes a buildable lot. Or you do a subdivision.
Are you saying make it a non-waterfront lot? Is that?
That would be
Kind of
one
what you're suggesting?
that would be an option that would
Okay.
make a big chunk of that land be conforming. Another option would be, you know, if you say you create 17 the way it's drawn, it's non-conforming, you later decide you don't like that, you subdivide it, now you've got 2 lots. And now the question would be, would we allow a subdivision that would take a non-conforming lot and make it into a conforming and a non-conforming? I don't know what we do in that case.
That would clearly be a ZBA matter, to create a non-conforming lot.
Well, we'd have a non-conforming lot, and the question would be if at the end of the day you still have a non-conforming lot and a conforming one. I don't know whether that's us or the ZBA, but I mean, that would be another option, would be to subdivide it. If you've got the same owner, you build on the good part, and if you find a way to subdivide it, you can build on the good part, and let's say that owner is still using the lake frontage, right? I mean, there are things you could do if the goal was, I don't know what your goal is. I don't know if you're looking to make sure that these are conforming buildable lots. You highlighted that they were going to be conforming in your little talk. So I just want to make sure we're on the same page before you go forward with the project, to make sure that, you know, your understanding of how the planning board would have to look at these matches the reality of the planning board, right? So,
Now, let's back up a little bit. Lot 17, as it stands today, that's a building lot and that's grandfathered, just with the short frontage.
I don't know that I'd agree with the characterization that it's a building lot. It's a lot, and I think it's non-conforming. So it would be Article 4 would govern it. The building lot requirements is in Article 1.
Right.
Right, so I think as 17 exists today, it's an Article 4 lot, non-conforming.
But buildable. Because
Well,
it's
you'd have to
required
read,
in 6 months.
we'd have to read Article 4.
It's not-
So reading from Article 4, this is called non-conforming use. Item A, non-conforming lots. Nothing in this ordinance shall prevent the continued use of lawfully developed non-conforming lots. So I think you said 17's not been developed?
That's correct.
Okay, so more specific provisions regarding changes to existing structures on non-conforming lots or the initial development of non-conforming lots are found below. Item 1, the zoning ordinance shall apply to any changes, alterations, additions, and new accessory buildings that may be added to these existing structures. The zoning board of adjustment is authorized to grant special exceptions to allow certain changes, alterations, additions, and new accessory buildings not in conformance with the zoning ordinance provided. The following criteria are met, and the construction complies with the spirit of the zoning ordinance. So it talks about frontage setback of the existing structure if less than 50 feet will be the limit of any additional structures, alterations, or structures of any kind. Additional structures shall have setbacks as restricted as possible. However, in no event may additional structures or additions to existing structures jeopardize the ingress and egress of the lot, the septic system, and well of the lot or of the lot or the lot of any abutter. So basically, well, there's no structure there, so that doesn't even apply. Item 2, any structure sought to be constructed on non-conforming lots which have no structure, so I think that applies to 17,
Yeah.
shall comply with the current zoning ordinance. For lots that cannot comply with the current zoning ordinance, which I believe is lot 17 because of the lake frontage, is only 158, not 250. So for lots which cannot comply with the current zoning ordinance, the zoning board of adjustment may grant a special exception to allow construction on the non-conforming lot without sufficient contiguous buildable area setback, frontage requirements, or lot size requirements, provided the special exception will not adversely affect A, the character of the area in which proposed use will be located, probably not a problem. Item B, the highways and sidewalks and use thereof in the area, probably not a problem.
Sidewalks not a problem.
No. Well,
Town services and facilities, probably not a problem.
Right.
And it talks about non-conforming buildings can be established within a year after the loss. And, let's see, there's non-conforming use. I don't think that you really talk about building, not uses. So I think that if 17 as it exists today was found to be non-conforming, which I think it clearly is, everything's up to
I agree with you.
Okay.
It
Then
would
it
be
looks to me
acceptable.
like if you want to build a new structure, not replacing existing structure, you got to go to the ZBA
Right.
On 17.
on 17. 17 today is not non-conforming. I believe the result of this change would be also non-conforming.
Based on the water frontage, yes.
Yeah. So you have to, if you want to build on 17, if we follow that logic, then you have to go to the ZBA. Before and after this change, you have to go to the ZBA. So you're not making things worse.
If that logic is correct, you're correct.
But
When you say before and after the change, what do you mean?
before is on the top drawing, and after is the bottom.
Oh, okay.
Right.
That's all I'm saying.
And 17 is currently non-conforming. Correct. Got it.
2 is fine,
2 becomes fine.
2 becomes fine.
right?
It becomes conforming and then would be governed by the normal zoning, I think.
Lot 3 would be heading the same way as 17,
Yes.
but you have structures on it.
Right.
So the
So-
smart thing to do there would probably be keep 2A and 3 alone, and then 3 becomes a buildable lot. It will have a short frontage. But if you own them both, what difference does it make? You can clear 2 and 2A and build on 3.
But since there are structures on 3, that first body of rules, where it discusses 50 feet and no closer than the current setback, I mean, it's still that special exception case.
The non-conforming on 3, the structure, you're restricted to the footprint of that structure. And that's
Or
small,
move back with ZBA permission.
Right?
Yes, the ZBA
Yes.
can sort of sidestep all of the nitpicky
Yes.
regulations. Within the limits of what that rules are.
So it's a buildable lot right now with the existing, within the footprint of the existing structure. And I could build a 35-foot tower
Yep.
on the lot, 15 feet from the water.
But to alter it as a zoning special exception.
And if we wanted to move it backwards, we'd have to go to the ZBA.
Yes.
But it's
Yes.
really not today.
Yeah. But I mean, to Rick's point, you may think about, do we want to keep a separate lot? It's expensive to create a lot, right? I know, so you're getting rid of a couple lots. It's not inexpensive to create a new lot, right? You have to go through the application process. You have to get, somebody has to do your plot, all the surveying and planning and everything else, right?
What we're trying to do is straighten out an area that has been a problem. I make it simple and eliminate the need for like someone else coming in and building on lot 2A or something. Like, we just want to have 3 lots there. Most of the people that are involved have lived in the lake forever, so they're from the lake,
Right.
I've dealt with Chuck for 20 years, without potential issues going on there. So this is an attempt to clean it up and make it, somewhat marketable. Like, I bought it because I was worried what was going to happen to it. And obviously, that lot 3 abuts the farm. So it's a continuation of the farm, and it's essentially a restaurant property.
Right.
It protects it from being developed, in the future, or someone getting access to a fishing game or something happening and turning into, a campground.
Yeah. Who would ever destroy that?
I do love campground.
So the effort here is to try to simplify.
Yeah,
We're not trying to maximize lots.
Right. We don't know what you're trying to accomplish, but
It's,
That's why I told you, but that's.
right, no, but I mean, all I'm suggesting is that,
the plan is really close. It's just bear in mind, lot 17 is going to be non-conforming, and adding 2A and 3 for 3, it's going to be a non-conforming lot.
It is now, though, right?
Yes.
Yes, that emphasizes that they are now.
so
Well, right now, if you left 2A and 3 alone, that back lot that 18 is added onto is conforming. It has frontage on Tumbledown Road and no water frontage.
18.
On the bottom map, 18 and 3, that big piece in there.
18 is gone.
18 is gone.
Yeah, okay, but that piece of land, that third stripe down,
What he's saying is if you kept 18 in a lot.
Right.
And then brought it to the board, 3 and 2A as a separate lot, it would be,
it's conforming.
conforming.
It has road frontage,
Correct.
but it has no water frontage.
Correct.
But you may not care about buildable lots, I don't know.
I don't.
Right, and if you don't, then this.
What I care about is having 3 buildable lots on the waterfront. And even if they're not conforming, I have to go to the ZBA. If we ever want to develop them and they don't conform, that's fine. But I'm not looking to try to maximize the development value
Right,
of the land, I'm just trying to get it under control.
right.
So you could do this, but 17 is going to need the ZBA to build on in the future.
Yeah, which we'll do with.
And 3 is going to need, 3 as it is in the finished proposed, is going to be non-conforming, it's going to need the ZBA to build on that.
Only if we want to move the house.
Right.
Right. Which we understand.
Yeah.
And to be fair, 4 and 5 would need a ZBA special exception should they want to do something.
And 80%
In
of the
addition
houses
to
on
that.
the lake are in the same, no one has, there's probably like 10 lots with 250 feet. And those are all lots created in the last 20 years, and most of them are 50 feet, 100 feet, there's not.
Right.
Okay, so I have a different line of questions? Okay, so I know you said this, but I wasn't paying enough attention. So 18 is owned by
Zip tie.
Same owner 17?
Yes.
Okay. So you're getting, I guess this is a technical point, you're getting rid of some lots. So I think this is not just lot line adjustment. There's also going to be a voluntary merger of lots involved. You'll probably want to start with doing voluntary merger of lots, so like merge 18 into 17, or do something where you finish, where you do the lot line adjustments and then do a merger of, 3 and 18 or something like that. But lot line adjustment is, and there's several, there's a bunch of, I don't know how our application deals with this, but there are a whole bunch of lot line adjustments, right? Normally we're dealing with, you've got 2 lots and you're going to move the line that's between them. Here, there's a lot more going on. So I'm not sure if this is one application or many applications. I don't know if anyone has any experience with us handling some of this.
Well, if we do a lot line adjustment, it doesn't change what's already there, so I think you're right. It has to be 2 different applications.
What's a voluntary merger involved?
That's another application, right? That's,
Not to use it, right, that's,
Well, to
Yeah.
the assessor.
In the case of
it's
2A.
it's easy. And the merger is easy and not very expensive, I think. So I don't think it comes to us even. I think we get notified, right?
Okay, an application is, I shouldn't say an application, it's a form that's filled out with the assessor clerk, and then it's just basically a non-issue of a fee of, I think it's $35 is presented before the registry. So it's very, very minimal.
Okay, but I'm not sure that we can deal with the lot line adjustment until the mergers have been done. Or,
we don't want to do the mergers.
The timing is wrong. If we did the mergers first, it would go from a lot line adjustment to a subdivision, which is a burden we shouldn't have to do.
or okay, I'd have to think about that, but the other alternative would be that you do your lot line adjustments, leaving 2A and 18. It looks like those are the 2 that are going away. Leaving those 2 and then following it up with a lot line, with a voluntary merger to get rid of.
Why would you just approve it contingent on the lot line adjustments and not just go through how the process? It just seems pretty simple.
The voluntary merger is simple. You go to the,
I know I've done it, we just
Right.
did it, which is why.
Right, so-
But we don't want to do it until this gets approval.
that's fine. The plan is such, plan it accordingly so that you get this approved, to get the lot lines movement approved.
Okay.
With the idea that you're going to follow on with your,
Contingent on mergers.
well, I was going to say that you design it such that you end up with 2 lots you don't want, that you then the next day come in and do the mergers to get rid of those 2 lots.
Okay.
If that makes sense, right? You could have, so what I'm suggesting is that at your second drawing, the bottom drawing, lot 3 would not have road frontage, 18 would still be there. And then you end up with make sure that it's the same owner of 18 and 3 at the end of it. And if that works, and then merge them. Or 18 is part of 2, and 2 has a lot more road frontage, and then you merge. I don't know. I'm not sure. I mean, I think it seems like it'd be easier to do the merger first, but I don't know.
No, I'm very concerned about the chronology if the merger comes first. All of a sudden, 18 and 17 become combined. To uncombine them would be a subdivision.
No,
I would agree that 2A and 3 are a natural merger right now.
I don't understand why you have to do a subdivision, because
We don't want to get in a position to prevent what they want to happen.
no, I understand. I'm just not. I understand. I'm
Going in
just,
sequence.
I agree. I'm just not sure how. I guess I'm not sure how it is that. Well, I'm not sure exactly how this is going to get sequenced anyway. I've never dealt with lot line adjustment that has involved this many lots, this many lines moving. I'm not sure whether our process supports an application that's that complex, but is you're thinking that lot 3, well, I don't know, I'm not, I guess, I would have to, I don't know, you have to think about that, is making sure that we can somehow make sense of, if you're applying for a lot line adjustment, it has to be a lot, lot line adjustment.
And that's what this is. It's multiple lot line adjustments on a single plan.
Right, but it's also merging some lots away.
We are consolidating, we're losing 2 lots, yes. And again, the 3 and 2A, a lot line merger on that can be done tomorrow. That would affect nothing
Right.
on this plan. Merging 18 or 2 into 17 first, and then coming back, it would be too late to do a lot line adjustment because we'd have a single 17.
Right, then it's a subdivision.
Then it's a subdivision, and that's a
I'm
burden we don't
suggesting,
care
I
to
think,
undertake.
so I think what I thought what I was suggesting was merge 3 and 2A,
That's an easy one.
and merge 17 and 18. And then you're gonna do a lot line adjustment such that 17 gets a heck of a lot smaller, becomes a strip, and 2, you're gonna basically be doing an adjustment, a lot line adjustment between 2 and 17. So 2 we get most of 17. 17 ends up the way it is in the bottom drawing. Then you follow that with a lot line adjustment that's 3, or 2, the combined 3 and 2A, 3 and lot 2, to get 3 to where it's supposed to be roughly. Then you do a lot line adjustment between 4 and 3 to move that over. And then a lot line adjustment between 5 and 4. And maybe 3 is involved there too, I'm not sure exactly how that's going to be, but, I think it's possible to come up with a sequence that would be,
That's what this is on a single plan, though.
okay,
It's all going to the same place.
Can't you do it at the same time?
I don't know.
Both
Yeah.
applications exactly at the same time?
I don't know, can you? Both applications, the voluntary mergers?
Yeah, do the merger and the lot.
But that doesn't come to
adjustment at
us.
the same time. Well, as of now, it doesn't look like this comes to us. It's so long.
No, the lot line adjustments do. That's part of our procedure.
So we should be able to make the adjustments to make this group of land look like that proposed plot. And then it's up to the ZBA to deal with building on these lots.
Our process doesn't allow, we don't have a process that we deal with that eliminates lots, I don't think. We have a process that creates lots, and we have a process that that move lines around. But the assessor clerk has the process for getting rid of lots.
So why wouldn't you just approve contingent on,
Yeah, maybe we could. I mean, that might be what you just ask us to do that, we'll certainly consider it.
That's what I'd like you to do. But it just seems, if you approve contingent on mergers, then we do the mergers, and then based on that, it's approved. and then-
Yeah, I think that would be fine. I just want to make sure that, for my brain to function, I need to understand what the sequence of things would be. I'm okay with, doing some contingent approval if that's what if the sequence that you guys come up with for explaining this to us when we have the meeting and, and we get the final application that, here's what we're doing. We're going to do these mergers and then we're going to do these things and we'd like you to just approve the lot line adjustments contingent on us having completed those mergers. That seems reasonable, right? But I think you have to think, when you come to us, make sure, I'm going to be asking, and probably nobody else would be, just trying to make sure I understand how this all works, such that, it's not sidestepping the subdivision or something like that, right? That it really, there's a sequence of lot line adjustments to get you to this, and that this, what you propose is the starting conditions, which would be, you don't want to do the, I understand, I'm not suggesting you have to do the mergers before we start, right?
Right.
I'm totally on board with you guys not having to do anything until you get the whole thing approved.
Okay.
Right? I'm fully on board with that, but we need to know what the plan would be, and then we can do the contingent approval.
Yep.
So for the application and explaining the sequence of how things are going to go at a public hearing, when is the earliest date that we can have a public hearing? In the interest of time, and we may not have to wait until the next planning board meeting in June.
I'm saying that there is a strong possibility of June 9th, which would actually be just 1 week before a regular scheduled meeting. And the reason for that is I would first have to get a hold of the newspaper, I have to see when the next publication date would be. to exclude the publication date and the day of the meeting itself, and have a minimum of 10 days in between. So keeping all that calculated together, I would say that June 9th.
Okay.
And do we have to do a butter notifications for that?
Yes.
That all happens.
And so there's,
Everything's ready to go.
Just go to regular planning board.
Like, we were hoping that we should have this a long time ago, that we would get this line done sooner than the 9th, but if it's gonna be a week before the meeting, like, I don't think we gain anything.
You gain a week.
I'd rather not inconvenience you guys for a week to, or others, we get to get out of regular planning board meeting, so once we can figure out a way to do it sooner, but I would just say at that point, we might want to wait for the meeting.
Okay,
But
well,
hopefully, anything you guys have, just, we're
can you be ready on the 9th? And I'll give you the reason why. I think we're scheduling another lot line adjustment on the regular meeting.
absolutely,
So-
I was trying to do it for your
Well-
benefit, not necessarily mine.
I don't want to get jammed up at the next meeting. If, I'm willing to come to an extra meeting if the rest of the board is,
But it
we have a
didn't,
public hearing for this.
But Mr.
you
Chairman,
have 10 days.
just so you know, I have not received another application for a lot line adjustment. I know that there's a possibility of what's receiving, but the application is not forthcoming as of yet.
Well, it's going to be a preliminary, and he's coming in on the June planning board meeting. What date is that?
That would be,
16.
yes, 16th. That's correct.
It's just going to be a preliminary, pretty much what we're doing here.
It's just, today's the 19th, isn't it, a 10-day? So the 9th is like, you know, that's 3 weeks, 21 days away.
Okay, so I have to get a hold of the newspaper, find out what is the soonest time that they'd be able to publish that. Okay, so the day of the publication, so it would probably be, honestly, if I went by the exact time, okay, all right, so probably by the time the publication would take place would be on the 25th. That day cannot be counted. Okay, so 10 days, 11 days after that is as soon as we'd be able to have it, because it has to be 10 days between the day of the publication and the actual time of the public hearing. So if I went 11 days after that, lost my, so let me give that a shot. So 26, 27, 28. The 11th would be on, the 11th day would be on a Sunday. So if the exact soonest time would be Monday, that's assuming that the publication will take place on the Wednesday.
Which papers, like, is it Greenwich Street or Foster's?
I would
Foster's
go to
publishes Monday.
either, I would go to either one of them and ask them which one it is.
So Foster's deadline for Monday is Saturday. We do this, the
Yeah.
Wakefield, we just went through, I just went through the Wakefield. but
Okay,
We could be in Foster's on Monday,
okay, so, okay,
right, and then 10 days on Monday.
yeah, that's, yep, so that would bring us to, okay, so assuming that you're right, I believe you're right,
Maybe the second.
okay. Now, the 11th day would actually be on the 3rd, because we can't count the actual day of the meeting itself.
So it's a Friday.
Yes,
Friday night could go here.
How about the following Monday?
that would still be the 6th, yes.
Yeah, I guess it was 6th on 9th, like whatever, like, once again, not that big of a deal, but we're trying to see, it's a couple weeks in that case, but.
So the 6th would fit better. And we're not waiting until the next planning board meeting. So I'll give you a week.
So is that official, or need a motion on that?
When we decide that's what we're going to do here.
Okay.
motion to schedule a public hearing for this on the 6th,
June.
June 6th. Can we get a second?
Second.
Discussion?
Sounds good?
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So we'll shoot with the 6th.
And so essentially, just to make sure we're on the same page, I'd like to provide you with some rationale behind the sequence or timing so that we're all comfortable with the timing of the lot line adjustment or some procedure to do the voluntary lot merger with a pending or contingent approval.
Right.
Yeah, and, you know, the fee schedule, I was just looking at that, it's $100 per lot for the lot line adjustment, right? You want to, I mean, you know, save some money by getting rid of those 2 lots before you and have them not be part of the lot line adjustment anyway, right? You save a couple $100 in fees by having 2 fewer lots, right? I think you end up with 5 lots, so I think that part of the fee schedule will be $500, if I'm reading it
I
correctly.
think that's what we paid.
So,
Again, I'm really hesitant to do any mergers prior to.
no, I'm not suggesting you do. I'm just
Right.
suggesting that you, as part of your application, just say, hey, we haven't done these mergers yet. We're not going to do them until we get approval on this.
Right.
And that, you know, ask us to just, you know, or we maybe ask you to, you know, to do the mergers, you know, or make any approvals contingent on the mergers having been done first.
So we all know where we're going on this. And we get the sequence of events and the application. I'll have the public hearing on the 6th.
Okay.
Looks good.
Can I suggest that, for me at least, and having the 2 drawings is good, I would suggest that maybe you do a 3rd drawing, first drawing being as is, second drawing with whatever mergers you're proposing to do prior to the lot line adjustment, and then the 3rd one as it's presented. Right, so just show a drawing that, I guess 2, 3, and 2A are, you know, sort of already shown merged, but show 18 being gone, maybe before, you know, as the middle drawing. Does that make sense?
As long as we only record one plan.
That would,
Okay, I think the opposite side of that is the recordable plan, so. As long as we end up with this plan or very close that goes to the registry.
right. I would assume, I don't know what the laws are, I'm sure you do, but I would think that if you do the mergers and then, you know, sort of immediately are doing the lot line, applying the lot line adjustments, that you don't have to record the after the mergers and before
Right.
the lot line, right? I would assume that you don't have to record that.
No.
So,
I just have a quick question, just so I can complete my notes on it. The road frontage for lot 17, 2, and 3, do you have those again? I have the lake frontage.
On 17, 2, and 3,
Right.
The road frontage,
Right.
well, 2, I've stared at this thing too long, I don't remember what it looks like.
Got it right here.
Road frontage. 2 has 250 and 3 has 352.
And what does lot 17 hold?
17, road front has 261.
Thank you. And then to bring up your point, Rob, that you had asked about the merger and the lot line adjustment, how do we handle the state of New Hampshire land with Chuck Robbins? There was a bunch of lots that we merged and approved a lot line adjustment.
I guess it was.
I'm thinking we might want to go back to that and just look at that and see how we handle that.
They bought the individual lots, and then after they owned the lots, they came to a lot line adjustment.
The mergers.
Yeah, the mergers.
So they merged first.
After they owned all of them.
Okay.
That's good.
Mr. Chairman, just one other thing I want to bring up as far as public record, that an amended plan for the plat had been submitted also, so I just wanted that on public record. So we have the original that was submitted before the board, and then the amended one, which took place about, 7 or 8 days ago? I think it was.
Correct.
So I just want to bring that up.
Thank you. Anything?
I just want to go back to some of the comments that Rob started with, and that was, and you had mentioned the word grandfathering, and I'm new to this, and I tried to prep for this evening without having all of the information. It's a lot more complex than I thought that it was going to be. And I'm confused, and I think that some clarity perhaps from some experts or legal advice on the role of the planning board with respect to lot line adjustments on non-conforming lots and allowing them to continue to be non-conforming lots. I guess that's, to me, what I did read was that it's treated almost as a subdivision. The subdivision rules require that lots be in conformance with our zoning regulations. Some old guidance that I had found from New Hampshire Municipal Association suggests also that this is along this role in lot line adjustment is tantamount to subdivision review. And so I guess my concern is, and I don't have the history of involvement. David pointed out we had that lot line adjustment not too long ago of the state taking and that land up near Trouble down there. I just think that if we're all on the same page with regard to what our role is in that and what our responsibility is, I mean, is it possible to approve a non-conforming lot to continue to be a non-conforming lot? I don't know if that's true. So.
Can I paraphrase your question to make sure I understand? So are you saying that you're questioning whether or not any of like our subdivision regulation, which this sort of falls under, can be applied to a non-conforming lot? Is that?
You know, if the lot line adjustment can be made and still create a non-conforming lot, can it be approved as the new lots be non-conforming? And I thought that's what you were asking earlier.
I was asking, so I believe that like through subdivision, we can't allow a non-conforming lot to be created through subdivision. But I think that, the question you're asking I think is fair, and I'm not a lawyer and I don't know the answer, but the answer could be that, you know, you can only do a lot line adjustment to a non-conforming lot if the end result is that it's conforming. That, to me, as a layperson, that sounds pretty harsh, because you've basically taken away a lot of the land rights of somebody by creating zoning ordinance.
Okay.
Where somebody's, you know, lot becomes non-conforming. Right, and we've also just pointing out that you know, these lots probably existed back in the 60s when we adopted the zoning ordinance, and they became non-conforming immediately at that point. We've made zoning ordinance changes since then that have created more non-conforming lots. Right, I mean, we used to allow streams to be frontage, right? And we got rid of that. And so, you know, we've got a board member who now owns a non-conforming lot that used to be conforming, right? So, I don't know. I mean, the answer might be that, yeah, you know, owners of non-conforming lots are screwed.
I think we're going to end up.
But I'd be surprised. Just because.
Non-conforming lots. By the way, you created additional zoning, but everyone's going to be non-conforming pretty soon because you can't get to, right? So the ZBA is going to become the governing permitting body in town.
It is.
The way that you guys are, not you guys, in general, the way.
Yeah. I mean, maybe we want to get a legal opinion on just, you know, get the attorney to tell us, you know, what.
Or just move the lot lines.
I mean, I would tend to agree, and I think that this proposal makes a lot of sense. Right?
I don't want to make this into one big debate, but just moving lot lines. A town of 600 people, we're all neighbors, and this isn't hurting anything. And the result is still going to be two non-conforming lots, as they are today. So the ZBA is going to get involved anyway.
has been my experience that planning boards they're not creating non-conforming lots with lot line adjustments, they're just adjusting non-conforming lots.
Right.
And as long as they don't become more non-conforming, planning boards have that authority.
Okay.
But they can't create a non-conformity that doesn't already exist.
I read a lot of stuff in the New Hampshire DES area about more nearly conforming. I know that you said they're conforming, they're not. They have a lot of information about more nearly conforming as it relates to waterfront properties. That might be sort of a guideline that you can look at, or so there's some basis to it. And what's agreeable, what's not agreeable.
The state did it when they went to the 1250 septic tank rule for even 2 bedrooms, so all those 1,000-gallon tanks in the ground, all now non-conforming. You know, this new rule, 10,000 new non-conformities, and it's just...
Add a tank to mine.
So if these lots, the 3 proposed lots, didn't have any lake frontage, they would all be buildable lots, correct?
Yes.
So why are we requiring it to be both lake frontage and road frontage? I'm still having a hard time understanding why.
Once you slip that into the zoning in March.
The zoning is separated, it's not and or.
The rationale, I think, is that you don't want somebody to build a road around the lake far enough back that everyone gets a wedge that ends with a 10-foot wide slice of lake frontage, right? It's really to limit the number of lots with lake frontage to keep the density of, anyone who owns land in the lake likes that rule. Right, because otherwise you could end up with a very large number of lots having lake frontage on a small lake, and there'll be more people that are happy to have land in the lake.
It's stressful to the lake.
Yeah,
But
right.
it's
No
not,
question.
it can't apply to our lake because the lots already exist, you can never do it. Like, and you can never put a road.
I think David was asking, what if our zoning said you need 250 on a road or 250 on the lake, right? As meeting the road frontage requirement, right? You could, or if you don't have road frontage, you need 250 in the lake. If you do have road frontage, you can have any amount on the lake. Is that what you're thinking? Because then you could have, as long as you create roads that you can get one side of it with 250 on the road, you don't.
But you couldn't make the lake lots more non-conforming than they already exist.
I think the question was, why don't we change our zoning to make it so that if you've got the road frontage, you don't need 250 on the lake, which would make the new 17, the new 3 be conforming and buildable without going to the ZBA. But then you could potentially have a whole bunch of new lot line adjustments, new lots, whatever, that end up with 50 feet of frontage on the lake. You end up with, 5 times, 10 times as many.
So the lots above that 12, 13, 14, 15, I know that those lots don't have 250 feet of road frontage, they have 200 feet or less. But those are buildable lots or not?
They'd be non-conforming. We have a lot of non-conforming lots.
I don't think
especially
there's a conforming lot on the lake now,
Yeah.
except for that one. 2 would be probably the only conforming lot on the entire lake. I don't know if there is one.
For a new zoning?
Right.
Right. Okay.
So every change on the lake, I think, has to go before the ZBA. It's almost one of the additional house now, the way that,
But a minimum water frontage, no matter what the road frontage is not a poor thing. The state law is 150 feet per lot. You don't want to over-densify the lake. All right, we'll come up with a merging plan and try to get that little middle segment that you're concerned with figured out.
I think it'll just make it, I appreciate that. I think it'll make it clear to everybody and,
It'll be complex, but
will
we'll
it?
walk you through it.
Will it be complex?
Oh, yeah, it will be. I'll make it complex.
thank you very much.
By the way, I personally applaud your efforts to clean up those lots.
Oh,
That's 2A and 3, that's just silly, It's-
Thanks.
thank you.
Thanks, guys. Good night.
Josh?
Do you want these that you hand, are these that you handed out part of the package?
Yes.
You need the map?
These, that, separately.
Because you can hand those out again next,
Yeah,
save the trees.
yes.
Did you take back these,
He did. So did you say it was just like 5 was yours, And you have a lot next to that as well? Or is that your lot? I don't know the lots on it, or you have several lots on it?
One lot.
That's your lot.
It's one lot.
Okay, lot.
We got the lot line adjustment from the neighbor. The back one. The history is, we divided all these small lots on the lake during the last century. Small lots. We kept the back land. And now everybody shifted that backland around with septic systems and just backland because all the lots are a quarter of an acre. That's what we started with.
they dump right into the lake?
Yeah. So now everybody's trying to get back. Non-conforming, small lots.
Moving on.
Well, I think we're probably not going to approve that lot 5 part of it, but everything else is okay. No comment.
Accessory dwellings. We're going to review the requirements in the zone lines. Who's driving this? Is this you, Ed?
No.
Diane?
I had brought it up last time.
Can you bring us up to speed on it?
Well, evidently this had been in play in various iterations, and Ed probably can update us on that, for at least a year and a half or 2 years. But the final version was Senate Bill 146 that was signed into law by the governor in March, and it takes effect, I believe it's June 1st or July 1st of next year. And so my suggestion had been that we consider reviewing it. We don't need to do it immediately, but, like tonight. But it would most likely be something that we should look at what we have in our zoning for accessory dwelling units and to see whether or not there's consistency with what is in that new law that will take effect then.
So our accessory dwelling zoning says that the accessory dwelling needs to be attached to the primary dwelling?
Yeah, the regulations are on page 3 of 56.
Yep.
You have a copy?
It's then, actually it goes on to page 4, 3 and 4, page 56.
So what did the state do that affects our zoning? They allow you to build separate buildings now?
I believe that George had the state reg, the RSA change out here. So it's, looks like this.
Yeah.
Oh, you got it. Okay.
You know, the town is not required to allow detached accessory dwelling units, was the note that I have. It's allowed under SB 146, but it's not required of a community to allow detached. And evidently, the previous regulations have been silent on that issue. So it's
So,
blessing the ability of a community to allow detached accessory dwelling units. But even as it says right in there, under their definitions, it's within or attached to a single-family dwelling.
should I get the kids out of the house, but into a different house that you build in one?
See, it says, wait.
Yeah.
It says, a municipality, I'm reading off of SB 146, a municipality that adopts a zoning ordinance pursuant to the authority granted in this chapter shall allow accessory dwelling units as a matter of right or by either conditional use permit pursuant to RSA 674, 1221, or by special exception in all zoning districts that permit single-family dwellings. And then it goes on to define it. Like it spells out.
What line you want?
19. Well, I just read 33, correct? On 19, it says a municipality may require owner occupancy of one of the dwelling units, but it shall not specify which unit the owner must occupy. A municipality may require that an owner demonstrate that one of the units is his or her principal place of residence, and the municipality may establish reasonable regulations to enforce such a requirement.
We already have this, only our accessory dwellings need to be attached.
Say that last part.
Our zoning has the accessory dwellings attached to the primary dwelling.
Correct.
Do we have a problem with that?
Well, I don't know.
So, well, are we considering general changes to accessory dwelling unit regulations, or just making sure that our regulations conform with the state
No,
regulations?
we do conform with the state regulations. This new SB 146 now allows, in municipalities that want to do it, accessory dwellings detached
Right.
from the primary dwelling.
But it also requires that we allow accessory dwelling units, I think, that are attached.
Yeah, we do allow that.
Right, but there are a lot of details. We just mean, for example, if we require that the owner live in the single-family dwelling,
Right.
then that would be contrary to the state law, which says that they can live in either one. We can require them to live there, but we can't specify which unit they live in. Right? Am I missing something? You look at me like I'm missing something.
Yeah, right now, with our zoning ordinance, you can have an accessory dwelling attached to your home, your residence. The owner of the primary residence has to live there. Nothing says it has to live in the house, it can live in the accessory dwelling of the house.
Well, I was using it as an example of something where our zoning could say one thing, but the state now says that we can't say that.
I don't think the state. So we should look at our zoning to see if we're still in compliance.
Yeah, if you read through D, I through, it says, we're just gonna have to go step by step. I think that we should just start with the first paragraph, just read through it and see if it matches this. Do you have a question?
Yes?
Mr. Chairman, if I may, when I prepped for this a month ago, I made notes on our existing zoning after looking over the new regulations plus the summary of the changes that I had received back in January.
Okay.
And my notes are actually quite brief. On page 3 of 56 in the zoning regulations that are dated March 15th, because I didn't have the new one yet, under item D, which is the accessory dwelling units, the first one, it says an ADU is not permitted in any single-family residence in which the owner of record does not maintain his principal residence. I think that needs to be clarified, because the way I read that is that the owner of the single-family residence. is, the way that that sentence is constructed, it refers back to the owner of a single-family residence, and that needs to be cleaned up, because now the new law says the owner of the property can either live in the accessory dwelling unit or the single-family residence. Number 2, under D, the middle sentence, which says there shall be no alterations, enlargements, or extensions of the existing structure which alter its character or appearance as a single-family residence. That needs to be, I have just here that we need to look at that or possibly change it. I not quickly, I don't have a specific citation, but I think that there's something in the new regulation that may affect that middle sentence. And number 3, the referring to the size, the floor area of the AD shall not exceed 1,000 square feet or 40% of the total combined habitable area of the single-family residence and the ADU, whichever is smaller.
Right.
My note there is that you can't disallow a size of the ADU as long as it's over 750 square feet. That came from the new regulation. And that's all I had for, and then a question about the very last one on the next page, which is number 12 in section D there, subsection D. I have a question mark, and I don't know. I didn't pursue that. So they're minor adjustments that, in my personal review, they're not wholesale adjustments.
Yep.
There might be other opportunities if folks want to examine the law and add some things, but I was only looking at what we currently have and whether or not there might be a conflict with the new law that will take effect next year.
So our regulations are now tighter than the state regulation. We can't do that, correct?
Evidently.
Yeah,
Or
can
more
I also,
restrictive.
can I point out one additional place where we have a problem?
Yeah.
On page 52 and 56.
Yeah.
At the top, item 6B. This is the section, this appendix is about workforce housing. We have under item 6 is prohibited uses, B is accessory dwelling units. And I believe that we are no longer allowed to prohibit the accessory dwelling units for single-family homes of any kind. If I read 674:72, Roman numeral 1 correctly, where it says, a municipality that adopts a zoning ordinance pursuant to the authority granted in this chapter shall allow accessory dwelling units as a matter of right or by either conditional use permit or by special exception in all zoning districts that permit single-family dwellings. So we might either just change it so that we do allow single-family workforce housing to have ADUs, or we might make it so it's a conditional use.
Or strike it.
Well, yeah, we could just, cross out or single family and have it just be, have the prohibition apply to multifamily, but.
Right. That's easy enough.
Right, but I think we have to do it, right?
Yeah.
That would be a
Yeah.
change we'd have to make.
And we're making these changes because our regulations are tighter than the state.
Right. Right, we're not allowed to prohibit things that they say we have to allow.
Okay.
Yeah.
So those 4 changes we could, does anyone, do you want to revisit this and read this and come back smarter, or do you want to just do it now? Doesn't seem like a big deal. Is this something we can do, just make the changes now so that, or we can wait till next year when this comes into effect?
Well, I mean, the process would have to be that we would have to, among ourselves, agree to a zoning ordinance, proposed zoning ordinance amendment,
Right.
and do the public hearings, get that in front of the voters we can't just change this, right? This is the zoning ordinance, not the rules of procedure, so this has to go to the voters. Can I suggest that rather than do this all in the meeting, that you, the chairman, ask somebody, a board member or two, to write up a draft of a working document that would reflect the changes,
Okay.
just to streamline it? You know, some one person, you know, probably draft it pretty quicker than all of us together can do it in the meeting.
And then we can all look at it.
And then
Have a
next
point
meeting,
of discussion.
yeah, next meeting we'll have something to start with that we can then amend as appropriate.
Would someone want to take that on?
I'd be happy to as an alternate.
Thank you.
I'll do it tomorrow.
Thank you. So Diane and David will prepare that. You have the, in section D, it's 1, 2, and 3 that you're gonna work on?
Yeah, unless we end up, a closer examination, find that there's other suggested changes, but
Okay.
the
And one found already by Rob
right,
at the end on, is it 54?
yeah.
Probably just strike single-family house off of that. That would treat single-family houses, workforce houses the same as any other house in the town.
So can I just point out something that I found to be interesting? Item on, this is in the RSA, on page 2, where is it, Roman numeral 10. An accessory dwelling unit may be deemed a unit of workforce housing for purposes of satisfying the municipality's obligations. You know, I wonder if, you know, I think we would need to have a bunch of ADUs in use, maybe to, you know, get rid of, well, or we can figure out if we are already satisfying our fair share under that RSA, but it might give us the ability to get rid of our overlay district that allows for workforce housing, which I think nobody was particularly happy with. Nobody in town was particularly happy with that, being forced to do that. And I'll just, you were mentioning detached ADUs. Detached ADUs could satisfy that as well. You know, people in town might be happier with allowing detached ADUs and getting rid of workforce housing. And, you know,
Well, we can't get rid of workforce housing, right?
well, you can satisfy the requirements that cause us to allow workforce housing as a separate overlay district if we're allowing the creation of ADUs which satisfy workforce housing, which can be considered workforce housing units. And if we allow those in the whole district, that's, right now,
But they don't. The ADUs are for use of family, correct?
No, you don't,
No,
that's part of
Doesn't
the
have to be
rules.
then.
you
So-
can't restrict,
so-
you can't restrict.
So the state 146 is now everybody can build a house and rent it on their property.
No, they can, according to 146, as I understand it, within the parameters that the town sets, you can create an ADU attached to or within your home, within a single-family home.
Yeah.
And then the town could allow the detached ones as well. But
And how does a detached ADU satisfy workforce housing? A workforce person can't buy it.
no, it's a rental.
Yeah, it's providing for low cost, the whole idea behind the workforce housing was that housing in this area is too damn expensive, and people that don't make a lot of money can't afford to live here.
Right.
The ADUs, by being relatively inexpensive rentals, because they're generally not that big, and they don't have to have a separate septic and separate land and separate road frontage, right? They're going to generally be affordable. And so they meet that, the original goal that said you have to allow workforce housing was all about allowing affordable housing options. We don't want apartment complexes here in town. We don't really, and so the alternative was to allow for workforce housing developments as single-family homes. This would be an alternative to that, and item 10 here basically says that the ADUs, it doesn't say just attached or detached, would act as affordable housing.
It would count to the percentage that is required for the workforce housing. So it's almost like getting the workforce housing overlay and spreading it all over the town. But I believe we have to evaluate that. We have to somehow evaluate all the ADUs we have in order to figure out if it adds up to that.
Now, does attached ADUs count towards workforce housing?
Either one.
Either one.
Either one.
So to your point, we were required, I don't remember what the RSA is right now, but we were required to allow for workforce housing in at least 51% of the town. In the majority of the town, we had a zone that says that you could have affordable housing. If we allow ADUs in 100% of the town, then we're allowing affordable housing in 100% of the town. We are not required to have affordable housing. We're required to allow it. We don't have to go and build inexpensive homes for people. We just have to we can't use zoning to prevent that from happening. And if we allow ADUs, and if we allow enough ADUs in town, that it would, if they were built, they would satisfy whatever our fair share would be.
What's that number?
It doesn't matter as long as we allow enough of it. And I think that it would be, if we allowed, we have what, 240 residences now, something like that? If we allowed 240 ADUs, then that would have to be our fair, at least our fair share, right? That'd be as many residences as we've got, right?
I know, but we have to know what that number is. You can't just...
But Rob's saying, if you make it 100%, then you got it all covered. It's not 50% we can today because we have an overlay. If everyone's allowed to do it, if our zoning says everyone can do it, that means 100% can participate.
It's not the allowance, it's how many we have.
But that also
It's
allows
how many we allow.
workforce housing projects to be built anywhere in town.
Hang on, I can only think about, so to answer your question, it's not how much, we don't have to, we can get out of, we have to allow enough affordable housing in town. The zoning can't prevent enough from being built. We could, if we prove that we already have enough affordable housing units in town, we can still prohibit the workforce housing.
Overlay.
Right, we would not have to do that if we said, if we could prove that we already have enough existing units to be our fair share. But if we allow for a doubling or half of our population being in affordable housing, that certainly would be our fair share. And we would allow that.
How do we prove we have what we have now? And if it would allow us to get rid of...
We couldn't figure out how to prove it, so we did the overlay.
What stops them from raising the bar?
Nothing, just our votes.
And the people you voted to the legislature.
But this
Right
is,
now, we have an overlay.
but this,
Bottom line, what want to throw it in?
well, we have two things. We have the overlay, which covers half the town. The overlay for single-family workforce housing. And then we've got, along the state roads, within a couple hundred feet, we have multifamily workforce housing. We're required to allow multifamily workforce housing. It doesn't say how much we have to allow, but we have to allow some. So I don't think we can get away from that. But I think this, item 10, allows us to satisfy the workforce housing, single-family workforce housing in a different way, right, by allowing ADUs. In fact, we could probably get rid of, I would argue that this alone, given that we allow ADUs within people's houses, we should be able to just get rid of the overlay, just the single-family workforce housing overlay district, and not be in any danger of having our zoning being declared invalid. But I mean, that's just me. I want to check with the lawyer, but I think this is awesome. So, anyways.
What's that?
Fact check.
Roll call vote.
Thank you, Rob. I still gotta look it over.
Yeah, it's just confusing stuff, there's no doubt. And the whole workforce housing thing was just,
Right now, you're thinking that allowing detached ADUs will allow us to take away the workforce housing overlay?
I'm suggesting that our ADUs as they exist, with whatever tweaks Dianne and David have to come up with that really are relevant, don't change the substance of what we've got. I believe that because the legislature now said that accessory dwelling units count as workforce housing, because our zoning allows for ADUs already, our zoning without the workforce housing overlay allows for 240 ADUs or housing units under the current zoning without the workforce housing overlay. Because we allow every one of us to have an ADU. And allowing detached ones as well would increase the opportunities for people to actually build them, right? If I was going to create an apartment to create some extra income, I'd probably rather have the person be in my barn than in my house. But
I can't see a developer right today could come to town and say, I want to build a multi-family workforce housing.
they did it in Wolf Pro,
Yeah.
and it was a huge fight, but they did it.
So they can do that here right now today.
Yeah.
And if we say, oh, no, we allow accessory dwellings on all our lots.
Well, we can't get rid of the so it's complicated. There are three things. There are ADUs, single-family workforce housing, and multifamily along 109. We can't, as far as I can tell, this doesn't affect the multifamily on 109. It has to stay. But we've got this workforce housing, single-family workforce housing overlay that I think we could get rid of.
Because today we allow anybody to have an ADU.
Correct.
So effectively, the town is one big overlay.
Right. 100% of we allow one affordable unit per lot today, everywhere.
We don't right now, let's just be sure.
No, we don't.
We don't have them, but we allow it.
Oh,
We allow, it's all about allowing it, right?
But we allow attached.
Yes, that's what we allow today.
And if we allow one unattached on every lot, we can get rid of the single-family workforce housing overlay.
No, I'm suggesting that even if we don't allow detached, only attached, we can currently get rid of, based on this, get rid of the overlay, just the single-family overlay.
How do we find out how many ADUs we have?
Doesn't matter. We allow them.
You allow it.
We allow them. It's all about we can't use our zoning to keep the riffraff out. Right? That was the whole point of the RSA, was we can't use our zoning to, keep the poor people like us out. So that's by having the opportunity for ADUs. And basically that keeps the development from coming in. Right? I think Wolfboro was single family. Was Wolfboro single family or was it multifamily? I thought it was single family.
Well, they got a few developments over there.
Right, but one of them was workforce housing, and it was a real big fight over there.
Now, there's a group, it's called the New Hampshire Affordable Housing Coalition. Well, they go around and they find some people, or they find if towns are not comporting to the law, they sue the town. So I would advise, not only do we go and try to make sure that our existing zoning ordinance fits, but that we make sure that we have an expert in workforce housing, make sure that it is correct, that we're not just talking about it, that it actually is legally in order.
But if it wasn't correct, we would make it correct, because our intention is not to fight it. Right, if someone said, hey, folks, it's not correct, we wouldn't challenge them in court, because our intent is to be compliant.
Isn't it better to make sure that the zoning ordinance is all set up so no one can challenge it at all?
I think, are you suggesting that we should ask our attorney whether
No, I
our
said
interpretation is,
an expert in workforce housing.
Well, she works on us and doing the overlay that we got,
right,
so we're compliant.
but we'd like to, the question is, could we be compliant without the overlay? Because nobody in town liked the overlay. The only reason it passed is because the alternative was that our zoning was going to get thrown out as soon as somebody came and did an application and got denied, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, we want, to your point, we want to be compliant, we want to allow the opportunities for low-cost housing. And the ADUs are something that people have, without having their arm twisted, have approved of, right? It wasn't objectionable to the people in town, and if that satisfies workforce housing requirement, I'm sure people would be thrilled if we got rid of the overlay district.
That's why it's careful, that's why it's important that it makes perfect legal sense
Right.
to us.
But I think
We
that,
have a legal opinion on it.
I think our attorney, if she doesn't want to get disbarred, will either give us the right answer, that she knows that it's the right answer, or go get the right answer from the right person,
I agree.
and she'll bill us for it appropriately. So,
You don't have any coupons left?
I didn't know we had coupons. Okay, let's move on. Thank you, Rob.
so do you keep saying detached, do you think that, I know that that was proposed a few years ago, and
I don't recall.
there was a big hubbub about that everyone was gonna have riffraff living in their barns and stuff, but, I think there were concerns that there, they were gonna,
And bring more children.
yeah,
There's something to do with children.
yeah, kids, the riffraff have kids, and kids are expensive, yeah. But,
I think we're okay. Just gonna buff up what we got so we're compliant with the state. Just let them know.
Before we go on, if we're gonna come up with a working document, right after that, should we make sure we get a legal opinion, or should we do it in conjunction with?
This exercise is just to make sure our zoning ordinances, as they stand today, are gonna be compliant with SB 146. And that's the working document that we'll look at. We'll take that step first. If we want to go further than that, that'll be for another time.
I mean, we could have it in the same zoning amendment, but I think it would be better if it were separate. Let people, some people, mood may have changed, people may now love the overlay district, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's possible, so let them vote, yes on one and no on the other.
Let's move on to scheduling gravel pit inspection. Did we leave off in the last minute talking about not having gravel pit inspections?
We discussed it, and the conclusion we drew was we had to do it. We checked, I think Ed was here,
Right.
and I think the final resolution was we should do it.
And is our gravel pit inspection report complete? Working document 03/17/16.
Mr. Chairman, the minutes, page 386, the gravel pit inspection forms, because there was some discussion that was there that you may want to look at.
Okay. Washout and erosion.
Yes, sir.
So they're different things. So we'll keep them both on.
From what-
Jim
Yes,
said
that's true.
said it defines it washout and erosion are different things. One applies, I'm reading this.
Yes.
One applies to landscape while the other is specific to one event. So just keep them both on.
Washout and erosion.
Yeah, as separate events. I want to get to the end of this, so we all have a gravel pit inspection report. And it looks comprehensive enough to go and inspect a gravel pit. I move that we accept this gravel pit inspection report and put it in the procedures.
Rules of procedure.
Rules of procedure.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? None. George, will you accept gravel pit inspection report?
Yes. I'll incorporate it.
Okay, so now we have a gravel pit inspection report. Now we have to set a date to do a gravel pit inspection. It should be in June.
Yes.
So we just have to pick a day. Say, we wanted to have this before the June meeting, or we want to have it done in June?
Mr. Chairman, may I refers to
What did we say?
the alternative, the recurrent activities list.
Yes.
We had put on there, and which is now incorporated into the new rules of procedure. I don't know if I have a copy of it here, but that the reoccurrent risk would include May for the assignment of the, it's in the minutes, page 6 of 6 of the minutes.
Yes.
That May would be assigned inspectors to inspect gravel pits, and in June, the inspectors will report to the planning board.
Okay. I'll volunteer to do the first inspection. Does anyone want to do it with?
What's the date?
We can make that.
Mr. Chairman, there was a handout,
Yeah.
which I think you got in front of you, that it looks like it's a letter that we would send to a gravel pit owner,
Yes.
Sorry.
and it talks about scheduling with that person the inspection time.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, I was assigned to make a proposal for a possible working document that includes a letter that will be sent out to the owners.
Okay.
And that is that. I was from there.
Let's look over that letter. It looks official with the seal on it and everything.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
I suggest 3 commas be added.
Okay.
Pursuant to RSA 151.5E, comma, in the next sentence, as a courtesy, comma, and in the final sentence, in the schedule a gravel pit inspection, comma.
Looks much better.
Are you mocking me? It's okay if you are. I get used to it. So.
And Mr. Chairman, should we add name, address, and map and lot number?
In case they own several pits and they're not sure which one we're talking about.
premises that can be a blank there to fill in that and lot.
Are we sending this to the gravel pit or to their home? Because,
To the owners.
okay, well, on your premises, is a little awkward.
Gravel pit located
At.
Map and lot.
at
Right.
that lot, fill in the numbers.
That way, the inspection report will have the map and lot number at the top, so
Right.
it's just a letter, so we're in the same file.
So you're suggesting strike on your premises and add
Map.
at map, blank, lot blank?
Yes.
Sounds good. Get that, George?
Yes.
And George, I'll give you a JPEG of the town seal,
Okay.
so you can put that up on the left-hand side.
Okay.
Format one.
Well, wouldn't he just, I mean,
Just a letterhead.
wouldn't you just print it on a letter? I mean,
We make our letterhead, but
okay.
Each time you make a letterhead, you don't have a form? Oh, okay.
But it looked like this was Xeroxed. That seal.
Mr. Chairman, if we're ready, I move that we incorporate the amended letter as an appendix in the rules of procedure.
I second. Just move for that.
I think I did. I was looking for a second somewhere.
You got it.
Now, is this
Discussion?
Is this a working document, or is this a,
This
what
is-
is this?
I think I'm proposing to skip the working document stage and just,
Okay.
Jump right in.
and now, of course, we can't make changes to the rules of procedure tonight, right, because nobody's seen it yet to 10 days or whatever, but I think this would go in with a batch of other things that we'll eventually approve. So that was the intention of my motion, was that we would,
Put it in with this.
yeah, exactly.
And then this will become an appendix?
Yes.
Yep.
That way George can just pull that out whenever he needs to send out the letters.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? John, will you incorporate the letter as amended?
Yes. And then once the letter goes out and comes back, then we can schedule.
Well, the letter's gonna go out, and then I think a call is made, right? To,
Yes, that's correct.
and then give me the date. If you're available, you are, if you're not, you're not. And we'll just go.
So, Mr. Chairman, yeah,
Okay, Mr. Chairman, we also have a proposed, a working document for the change in the gravel pit section of the rules of procedure,
Right.
or to add. Is this adding, George?
yes, it is.
Okay, so this is a new section in the rules of procedure called gravel pits.
Read.
Want me to read it out loud?
Yeah.
So it's labeled section 20.1, gravel pits will be inspected annually by the planning board pursuant to RSA 155E. 20.2, the inspection of gravel pits will proceed accordingly. A, the chairman appoints planning board members to inspect gravel pits. B, a postal certified notification letter shall be sent to the owners of all gravel pits for the scheduling of an inspection. C, upon confirmation of the postal receipt, the administrative assistant will contact the owner/agent to establish an appointment for the gravel pit inspection. D, after the inspection, the gravel pit inspection report will be filed and the results will be conveyed to the planning board.
And the code enforcement office. He requested to get a copy of the inspection report.
Is that because he's an owner of a pit or because he's the CEO?
It's because he's known about that.
Okay, so we should, so rather than,
No, it's because he's the code enforcement officer.
should we be also be sending it to the owner of the pit?
A copy.
A copy of the report?
Sure,
I would think-
sure, why not?
I would think that would be not a bad thing, so they aren't caught by surprise.
So put that into D, George. that the gravel pit inspection report will be filed, and the results will be conveyed to the will be filed. And the results of the report will be filed with the planning board, the pit owner, and the code enforcement officer. Diane?
This is going to sound like a stupid question, I'm sorry. In the results, are the results different than the copy of the inspection report? Is there something else besides the report?
I think results should be changed to report. I was going to suggest the same thing as soon as George stopped writing. So George, the question is, it says will be filed and the results. I think it should just say and the report will be conveyed. You're gonna, because the report is the result, right? Or is there something else that in addition to the report?
The report needs to be filed with the planning board, code enforcement officer, and the owner of the pit.
In other words,
So any way you want to word it.
the way I'm understanding it, I'm sorry, Mr. Chairman, the way I'm understanding the assignment to me was that the report would be presented to the planning board to make their final decision as far as what was presented to them.
Okay, so we're going to get a report, and then there's going to be a motion that says that we think that we should refer it to the selectmen because it seems to be non-compliance or something like that. And so then, well, okay, but the planning board will be doing that, right? So the report is going to be conveyed to the planning board, not the results.
By the inspectors.
And then so this says that the report will be filed. And it probably should say the report will be conveyed to the planning board, period. And then final results, or, I don't know what that is. Is it approval, is it?
I think there should be another line item with E that says the final results will be sent to the code enforcement officer and the pit owner. So
I think we should, I think that's good, but I think we should specify what the results, what that means. What is it the planning board, is the planning board going to, is there another form that says, the planning board, or should we have something else on this form that is planning board use only, and we have a checkbox for okay, and a checkbox for refer to selectmen?
What should happen is on the report, if it says pass, 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 there should be something on here that says that we motion to approve it, I would think. So it's official that we accepted what the report came up with.
The inspectors go in and check the pit. They check off all passes. The inspectors can come back and tell the planning board that it passed. Then a copy of the report will go to the code enforcement officer and the owner of the pit. If anything fails, the report then goes to the selectmen.
Now, what happens if not all the board members agree with that? That's why I'm saying it should be a motion. Don't we usually motion to approve?
Who can not agree with pass?
I think somebody who doesn't like the pit owner or the pit, right?
Well, inspectors go out there, everybody's going to get a shot at this over the time. When it's your turn, you go out, and suppose you look at this pit, and you check, you're the only one there, or with your partner or the co-assignee, and you check off pass.
Right, but so Ed goes out, he goes and checks off pass, but I'm, picky, and I think that, I see some erosion, right? And I think that should have been a fail, right? I think that
If you're on a job, then you're going to have to debate it with the other person and put down pass or fail. You're going to come to an answer.
But what if I'm not on the pit? What if I'm not on the job? I'm not one of the two that went out there, but
How do you know? You go out there,
I don't know.
freelancing, just.
I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah,
But what, I think that,
You have to put some trust in your fellow planning board.
fair enough.
We have other applications that come onto the board, applications and other documents that we have the fiduciary responsibility to make a decision on. I'm not saying I'm right or wrong, I'm just saying, think about this. If this is a report, like an application that we as a board have to agree on, all I'm saying is that it should have something on here that we've accepted. Like, how do we say that it's official? Just because that one person said it passed? It should say that we accepted this.
So-
We accept the report.
so-
That's all, that's not hard to do that. I'm just-
Perhaps you could put, okay, inspected by,
Well, what if, so, just a trial balloon, what if we had, so this report gets filled out by a planning board member or two, comes back to the planning board, and the next step is that we issue a letter that says, we have two letters, one that says, your pit has been, that this pit has been found to be in general compliance with 155E. And if that's the case, if this falls passes, we send that letter to the selectmen and and put that in our files and send it to the pit owner. And if for some reason there's something that's found deficient, we send a letter that says your pit has these following, the pit has these following, the planning board, or we send a letter to the selectmen that says, here's a copy of the report. We think that there may be problems that you should look into.
yes.
Whatever that's next, but I think that I think Ed's point is that we should have a planning board level decision made, right? Either it's good
Accepting the
or it's bad.
Okay,
And if it's good, we do X, and if it's bad, we do Y.
Yeah.
our inspectors go out, let's just say this time, everything passes. So down here should be a block, inspected by approved planning board. Okay?
Well,
Either that or the letter that goes out, either or, just somewhere.
so the problem with it saying approved by the planning board is that the planning board that can mean that the planning board concurs with what's on the form. And it might be fails and it might be passes.
If it passes, accepted by the planning board. Pop off.
Correct. No, you got it. If it passes, we accept it. If it's not, then we have to move in
Move
another
it.
direction.
Go to the selectmen.
Well, you are, accept what? Accept the report, or find that the pit is in compliance.
Write in the comments, pit is in compliance, sign it, two planning board members sign it, and return it into our file in the code enforcement officer. That's done.
The reason why I want to make sure that.
Any more contact with the pit owner would be a result of a failure, and that would come from the selectmen. Because should this fail, we hand it off to the selectmen and state that it failed. It's not compliance, then the selectmen will address it.
If it passes, do we send it off to, also send that to the selectmen?
Oh, no.
Okay.
So it's done, yes.
I was just, so in essence, it's either in compliance or not in compliance. And the way that I understood you to say is that the planning board makes that determination. What happens then is it either gets filed if it's in compliance, or if it's not in compliance, it goes to the board of selectmen.
Right.
Can we just say that in the procedure? Because
Yeah.
this is what started it, was this new document.
Sure.
So item E, I guess, which is what David suggested, right, would say that the planning board, so I think for item D, results should be changed to report, because I don't think there's any other results at that point. Item E would say that the planning board would, based on the report, planning board will determine compliance or non-compliance.
Yes. The planning board determines compliance, non-compliance based on the report.
Right, yes. And then we should have a sentence that says, if it's found in compliance, we do A, and if it's found to be non-compliant and not in compliance, we do B.
Compliant inspections will be filed with the planning board and the code enforcement officer. Non-compliant inspections will be submitted to the selectmen for appropriate action. Okay.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
George, are you caught up with us here?
I didn't hear the part where the chairman volunteered to make a motion.
I make a motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It's getting late.
So do you want to see this with the changes again, or do you want a motion putting it into the,
I want a motion to put it in as amended.
okay. Mr. Chairman, I move that we accept the gravel pits working document as amended to be included in the rules of procedure.
Second. Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Will you have that submitted to the rules of procedure, Judge? 20 gravel pits, gravel pit inspection form, and gravel pit letter as amended. Will you send out
Send out the letter.
gravel pit invitation? And let me know when you get the receipt back,
Yes.
and then we'll have you call and set up an appointment, and we'll go up and inspect. I think you can see if everyone agrees. When George calls to make the appointment, he can make it an option to them to be there or not be there. So that way we may not get involved in getting everybody's schedule together. If the pit owner says it's okay, just go in and take a look. Right, that's fine. Okay, Judge?
Yes.
Do you make that offer?
Yes, I will.
They could be there, or they just give us permission to go on such and such a date. Do you want to go over complying with changes of planning board, or do you want to table that? I'll leave that up to you, Ed.
You mean C?
Yeah.
Oh, that's easy, take 2 seconds to tell you this.
Okay.
I emailed everyone on board the completion of the planning changes. I have a hard copy here, but I sent it to you in the email so you could tell the board to just go home and review it. Because there is a large area of enacted, effective RSA changes, and these are brand new. I think we need to discuss in the future sometime. I would like to spend much more time as a board reviewing all of these. But there's 12 or 15 enacted RSAs here that are brand new that I really think we need to look at and be aware of.
Let's put that on old business for June 1st, instead of waiting for it to the end, okay, Judge?
Yes.
About a notification form and other requirements, I didn't even see that here. Let's put that, table that till next month, too. Okay, George?
Yes. I'm sorry, Mr. Chairman, what was that there?
About a notification form and other requirements. Has the references to CIP been deleted? I didn't see
Yes,
that either.
yes. And actually, that's what I wanted to point out. I had made a document where, because it's the whole rules of procedure, I'm not presenting it, but I did remove the portion that referred to the CIP committee, and expunged all references to CIP, and also, as per last month's motion, I did incorporate recurring activities of the planning board, Appendix W, into a rules of procedure whereby, as per Rob's motion a few months ago, to have one document presented at one time with all changes to the planning board.
Okay, table 3 and 4 to next meeting. Next meeting on new business, I expect we're only going to have one lot line adjustment preliminary comment. He's just going to talk about what he wants to do. That shouldn't take a long time. And then we'll go right into old business, starting with the compliant changes, planning and land use regulation book. That's important. That's going to be first. And then we should have time to follow with about a notification, deletion references to CIP and recurring activities. Appendix W. Okay? Member comments? Being it, yes?
Just
My peripheral vision.
got my hand out far enough that you can see it.
I think I saw a reflection.
So, just a question about the rules of procedure. So, we have now incorporated a whole bunch of working documents into the rules of procedure. Are there any that are still outstanding that we have that are still working documents?
The one we didn't see tonight, right? Go ahead.
Yes. Okay, so the abutter notification form and the requirements, that is still a separate working document.
Do we have any changes that, we saw that, right? And we just decided not to make changes on it? Or?
What we decided, I believe that was the motion that you made, that you suggested that remain as a separate working document and be incorporated at one time with all the other changes that we're planning on doing with the rules of procedure.
Okay.
From my recollection.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we accept that working document and include it with the other changes in the rules of procedure. That working document being the abutter notification.
You recall that? It's good to go, because we don't see it yet.
Well, we have to be able to see the rules of procedure again once everything's incorporated. And so this motion would be basically asking George to incorporate in the rules of procedure, and then he's got to present that to us 10 days ahead of any vote where we accept it.
Okay.
And so we'll get a chance to look at it. I think we should probably go through all of these changes again once we see it incorporated one last time. If we make changes, then we'll accept it the next time. If we don't make changes, we can accept it then.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Opposed?
No, sorry, I'm sorry. No.
She's-
I said no, you
she's
didn't
in-
hear me.
Okay.
But I do have one other suggestion
Yes.
before we leave the subject of rules and procedure. When I was looking through this in preparation for tonight's meeting, I noticed that, at least in my version, which is updated April 2015, says that we meet on the second Monday of each month,
It's Thursday.
third Thursday. It's on page 7 of 19.
Want to go back to Monday?
Is that easier than changing the rules of procedure? Well, we were doing Thursday because of your work, right?
Right.
And now that you are no longer doing that, I don't know.
Well, I'm okay with Thursday. Okay.
So I second Diane's motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Got that, Josh?
Yes.
Could you read that motion back?
Word for word?
No, George, did you got what the change was? right?
Yes.
No, all joking aside.
Yes, to change the second Monday of the month for the meeting of the planning board and the rules of procedure to the third Thursday of the month.
Anyone member comments?
Yes, on the meeting date is, I believe that the meeting date also shows up on the website. Yeah, the third Thursday, is it correct on the website?
Yes.
Yes,
Okay.
as far as the calendar, yes.
Okay.
We've been so busy, we just missed it on the paper. Any more comments? Meeting adjourned.